It's the end of the week and you finally got paid, but before you know it, after purchases on eating out, a new jacket, or the latest Amazon deal you got, you're already thinking about your next paycheck. Money can be a tricky thing to manage no matter if you're getting paid weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. The temptation to spend on impulse purchases is real, but without control, before you know it, you can find yourself in a pile of debt. If you're just starting out your career or have been working for the last 30 years, here's a 5-step process that will help you take control of your paycheck right when you get paid, keep your finances in check, and live life free of guilt. Step 1 is knowing your flow. Knowing exactly how much you're bringing in each paycheck, how it's being allocated, and how it's being spent sounds simple. But you'd be surprised how many Americans don't have a clear picture of their income and expenses. In fact, 75% of Americans have a budget, but 83% say they overspend. Whether it's from your full-time job, side gigs, or freelance work, knowing your weekly earnings is the foundation of managing your money efficiently. So step 1, you want to create a budget. I know you've heard a million times to create a budget, but sticking to it is a different story. But I believe having a budget is the first step in building toward financial discipline and being conscious of your spending habits. So let's walk through a user-friendly budget template I created to help you track your income and expenses more easily. I created this budget to follow the 50-30-20 rule, where 50% of your income falls under needs such as groceries, bills, rent, and utilities. Within that 50% dedicated toward your needs, your housing expenses, so your mortgage and rent, is ideal to be under 30% of your gross income. If you can get it below 25%, that's even better. The 20% should be split 10% and 10% between groceries and utilities. The 30% is toward wants and needs such as entertainment, travel, hobbies, or miscellaneous, and the other 20% is for savings, debt repayments, and investments. And you can adjust this ratio to be more conservative by having more go towards savings and investments. The template is categorized into 6 sections: take-home pay, needs like rent, bills, utilities, savings and investments, debt, subscriptions, and variable expenses, which is everything else you spend on. For the monthly expenses section, you can enter in your own categories, and changing that will update your overall projected expenses for the month at the top. To enter all of your variable expenses, just use the monthly expenses tab, select the category that this is going to be allocated toward, and put the price. Back on the home page, once a bill is paid or you made an investment, you can check the checkbox on the left of each of the row and it will tally up for your actuals. I've also created 2 charts to help you see what you spend and how it's allocated each month. The donut chart tracks your actual expenses to the 50-30-20 split, but by adjusting the ratio to your liking, you can turn that split into anything you like. The other chart is based on your needs category, since that's the highest percentage of where your income goes. I wanted this budget template to be accessible for everyone to use, so it's listed and available on my Etsy shop for just a few dollars. The link is in the description, and the instructions on how to download it are on the Etsy page. The second step is contributing to your retirement savings through your 401k. But Austin, why do I need to worry about retirement that's 30 or 40 years away? Because of compound interest and the advantage of starting early. If you're in your 20s, it's easier to see exponential growth by contributing to your 401k early than having to play catch up in your 40s and 50s. But to those of you watching that are in your 40s and 50s, there's never the idea of starting too late. The best day to start investing is today. And just to show you how beneficial contributing to your 401k early can be, let's do some math. If you invest about $5,000 a year, which is $400 a month, starting at 25, by the time you're 65, that would turn into almost $2.5 million. So there's 2 reasons why I have 401k as a second step. The first is that the money you decide to contribute is taken out before it even hits your bank account. You don't have to actually make the decision on if you want to put your paycheck toward your retirement, because technically it already has been. The second is that some employers offer a 401k match, meaning free money for you. How an employer match works is like this. Say your company has a 4% match for 6% that you put in. If you make $60,000 before taxes and you contribute 6% of your paycheck to your 401k, you contribute $300 a month. Because you've contributed 6%, your company will then contribute 4% to your 401k, meaning they'll add in an extra $200. That's a total now of 10% being contributed each month. So if we go back to our example from before, now you're investing $500 a month, which if you let that ride until you retire, that can turn into millions of dollars. Even if you can contribute $100 or $200 a month to your 401k, it will change your life. Next up, step 3, building an emergency fund. You'd be surprised just how many people don't have a fully funded emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of expenses in case something happens, like you lose your job or your car breaks down. In fact, only 37% of Americans say they can cover an emergency expense over $400, and the median emergency savings people have in their account is around $600. Anything can happen at any time, so you need to be prepared. Some might say that having an emergency fund is more important than contributing to your 401k, but to some people, saving 3 to 6 months of unnecessary living expenses can be up to $20,000. And that can take up to a year or 2, so I think that if you're in your 20s and you're early, investing in your 401k is a much better investment while you're still building your emergency fund to at least $7,000 to $10,000. And for that savings account, you need to open a high yield savings account that earns you about 4% on what you have in that fund. That's because the savings accounts for most larger banks only earn you about 0.01% interest. Now, this is not sponsored, but I recommend Ally Bank for a high yield savings account. There's no minimums, it's all online. And within your savings account, you can have savings goals divvied up by buckets. Once you have a budget, contributions to your 401k, and a road to building your emergency fund, the next thing you should do is focus on paying down your debt. Now, a lot of people have debt between credit cards, student loans, car payments, but with high interest rates, only paying the minimum payment or ignoring it altogether will stress you out for years to come. There are two methods to paying down debt: the avalanche method and the snowball method. The avalanche method focuses on you paying down the debt with the highest interest and working your way down to the debt with the lowest interest. The snowball method focuses on you paying the debt with the lowest amount, building momentum of paying it off, and tackling your larger debt. The method of which debt repayment to choose is up to you based on what motivates you or how much debt you may have. If you have $10,000 in student loans and $8,000 in credit cards, I would recommend the avalanche method because the student loan interest rate is much lower compared to your credit cards, which can be upward of 20% interest. And for credit cards, once you start paying off your balance, your credit score will start to climb and help you get lower interest rates elsewhere.
One great resource if you want to try the snowball method is Dave Ramsey's debt snowball calculator. Let's do an example. Say you have credit card debt with an APR of 25.7%, a balance of $8,000, and a minimum payment of $60. If you just pay off that minimum payment, you'll never pay off this card because of the interest. But look, if you just pay off $200 extra each month for a total of $260, you can pay off this card by 2029. If you want to be ambitious and do an extra $400 a month, you can pay off this whole card by November 2026. That's less than 2 years out from the day of this video being posted. Even if you can only pay out $150 extra, you're still making tremendous gains for paying off your debt rather than being drowned by your minimum payment and interest.
Now, the fifth step, which is a big win toward financial freedom if you're able to, is opening up a Roth IRA and a brokerage account. A Roth IRA is a post-tax retirement account, so unlike the 401 where it's taken out of your paycheck before taxes, money can be contributed after it's taxed, and you can withdraw the principal from your contributions at any time. For the brokerage account, you can invest in low-cost mutual funds for the long term, so you're not looking at the market every single day or every week. An index fund like the S&P 500, which tracks the top 500 publicly traded companies in the US, returns on average 10% each year since 1957, which is more than the checking account rate of return and high yield savings account. Even in the last 2 years, the rate of return has been about 25%. So if you're looking to retire early or buy a house 7 years down the road, investing in low-cost mutual funds is a great way to get high returns. And do not try to time the market, just invest a fixed amount each month. If you watch the market every day or even every week, you'll be discouraged and either sell or stop investing altogether. So the best way to invest is by contributing even $100 a month automatically to your index fund and then forgetting about it. So there you have it. You can start following these 5 steps today to help you manage your paycheck each week. It's all about being intentional with your money, keeping track of your expenses so you know you're not overspending each month, and prioritizing your savings. Just remember, you don't know everyone's financial situations around you, and the people you see on social media that have these big, lavish lifestyles might have a ton of credit card debt as well. So try not to compare your financial situation to those around you. My word of the year is consistency, so try to keep up with this for the next few months and see where it gets you. Update your budget each week, set up your 401k and high yield savings account automatic investments. Try to see if you can start contributing to your Roth IRA or brokerage account if you have extra cash on the side. Before you know it, it's going to become natural, and just by doing these steps, you're already on a great path towards financial freedom.